welcome to the writing vlog. We keep on going with the challenge. I'm trying to psych myself up to write tonight. I also want to share today some things that I got for my birthday that are writing related. The first thing is this pen holder that is like a typewriter. So cute, and I love it, and I cannot wait to put it for now in the current office, but especially in the new office once I get it. And then another thing that I worked on today. Whoa, okay, we lost the cup because it wasn't attached, it was an extra one. But it's a cute little personal library with this person sitting here in the armchair reading. The book says Once Upon a Time. It's a fantasy book, I assume, just like we want it to be. And I really like this little quill. Let me see. It's, oh no, I am breaking everything in the room. But that's okay. I just wanted to show you this quill right here. And she also has some correspondence in the back. It's just so cute and adorable, and I love it. That was a nice way to spend an hour or so in the morning today. Last but not least, look at that! I am super pumped about this one. Look how beautiful he is. Oh my God, I love it. So that's gonna be perfect for my office. I'm thinking about my future office space, and I'm thinking it's gonna be kind of moody. I'm gonna go away from like all white and bright in my office, and I'm seeing lots of green, brown, and maybe black, maybe with an occasional pop of color. It's gonna be moody and I'm gonna love it. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap up the introduction and I'm gonna go straight into writing my book. So today is Monday, November 18. And in the past 3 days, I wrote a total of 1,500 words, which is about like 500 words a day, which isn't bad, and I'm excited. So after that big deletion of words, I'm finally almost back to the same word count where I was. And you know, this is the last week. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 days left. Oh my God, I have 3 days left in the challenge.
And so I rewatched my original video where I was announcing the challenge the other day, and I was talking about maybe doubling the word count and getting to 60,000 words. And okay, this is not happening 100%. At this point, I only did about 5,000 words in the entire month, which isn't bad, but it's not even good. A good month for me is like 10,000 words. So a lot has happened. I faced some setbacks, but overall the story is moving. I've uncovered more storylines, more interesting characters and stuff as I was going through. So even though probably the best case scenario by the end of this week, maybe I will have, like, if I'm like focused and work a lot, maybe I'll get to 40,000, which would be great. But that's not the important part. The important part is that the story is living and breathing, and it's working so far, even though sometimes it's tough for me and sometimes I'm questioning myself as a writer. But the story is there, and my main fear, I guess, always is that I don't have enough story for a whole book. But it looks like there's just more and more to tell. Like, as I'm writing more, there's more details that I want to do, more scenes, and I have more clarity now for sure than I had a month ago. So regardless of what happens by the end of this week, it's definitely a win. If you think of a win as progress, right? Just like moving forward. Let's see what I can do by Friday.
Hello and welcome to the final day of the challenge. I think it's very fitting that my cat is drinking in the background because I think that's how the first video started. So today I'm gonna update you on the final word count for this challenge. But before I do that, I wanted to show you some more presents I got for my birthday. Since my actual birthday, I got a couple more presents that have to do with reading or writing, and so I really wanted to share them. The first thing I want to show is this Harry Potter set. So honestly, so this has been on my wish list for the longest time. It has been on my wish list for probably 3 or 4 years. And my husband, when I showed it to him that I got this present, he was very surprised because he was like, "Don't you have Harry Potter?" And everybody thinks I do because I just love it so much, and everybody knows that. But the thing is that the books that I read when I was a child, they actually belonged to my sister. So she was buying them or getting them from our parents. And since she's older than I am, I would then take the books after she was done with them and read them. And so I never really owned my own Harry Potter books. And ever since then, I usually reread it either in audiobook format with Stephen Fry reading the books, or I read it as an e-book. And so I never actually had the physical books, or sometimes I take them from the library. But this particular edition, illustrations are different from the one that I had back in Russia. But this one, I really like the way it looks as a set. I love that it has Hogwarts, spread out between all 7 books. I also like the back of the package where it's Hogsmeade and it looks so cute and cozy. And I just love the way separate covers look as well. All right, and I just wanted to show these two because these are my 2 favorite books. And it's funny because I watched this video recently on YouTube where a guy who's an adult read Harry Potter for the first time, and he was rating the books in the order of reference. And I think this one was the last one. He really loved the first one, and a lot of people like the third one for some reason. For me, I don't know, maybe because I was reading them as a child, the third one was a little bit darker and with the whole like black dog that symbolizes death and the prison and stuff. For some reason it left a really, even though I love the whole idea of the time, the time travel and stuff like that, um the third book was like the one of the darkest books for me. And then obviously, as we move further down the series, it just gets darker and darker. But I loved Harry Potter, not for darkness, but for the escape and for the magic and for the cozy feeling that Hogwarts provides, and Hogsmeade and the common room and friendship and food and all of that. So I never really liked the darker books or the darker storylines, but this one obviously is probably everybody's favorite, and I love it very, very much. I was sitting in my writers group the other day trying to persuade two adult men to read. Please read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, because I was like, okay, dude, you don't have to read the whole book. Please read the first three chapters and then let's talk about it because it's great. You cannot, like, maybe he's not gonna like it, but like I really hope he reads it, because even like the first sentence, it just captures the style and the voice, and it's just beautiful. So anyways, I'm a big fan, obviously. And then with this one, I really love the whole idea of like the parcel tongue and how it's used in the story and all of that. So these are my two favorite ones, and I just love the covers. And I'm thinking once I finish, because I reread Harry Potter quite often, maybe sometimes to the detriment of my literary education, because I could be reading something new, but I just prefer to go back to Harry Potter from time to time. And I haven't reread it in maybe a couple of years, and definitely in the actual like paper book shape. I haven't read it in a while. So once I finish my draft, I can go and read the entire series again and have fun and peace. And that's going to be my prize for finishing my draft. So, anyways, that's the plan with the Harry Potter books. And also, my sister, who's also a writer, and she supports me wholeheartedly on my writing journey, she gave me a couple of those books. So, this novel planner, high fantasy edition, and then the only world building workbook you'll ever need. And so both of them help you create a story. A lot of it is like what's going to be the magic system, what's going to be the history, the economy, the language, the food people are eating. Both of them are particularly helpful when you're creating a high fantasy world set in a completely different universe altogether. And so obviously you have to come up with so much backstory on how it was created and what the culture is like, what the people are like, what the creatures are like, what the magic is like, all of it. But for me, I'm writing low fantasy, so my story is connected to the real world, but there is a magical side of the world, and so I still will need and use those books to create that part of it, because there is the history of the magic, and there is a specific place, a location, which I can treat as kind of its own high fantasy world, even though it's not, but because it has its own culture and history and food and customs and people with different magical abilities, I think I'll be able to use these books to develop that more. Another thing she gave for me is something that I actually love to give to people who love to read or write. It's a little book nook, I think they're called, and it's very cute. I'm looking forward to putting this together and put it on my shelf. I just love how people are supporting me in my writing, on my writing journey, in any way they can, sometimes with a piece of advice, sometimes with a gift like that can help me develop the story further. And just in general, a friend of mine from college, when she was saying happy birthday, she said, I'm wishing you the word count that you would like to get. I'm watching your vlogs. And this was also very nice. And I felt a lot of support in this way as well. So I'm very grateful for each and every one of you, and for my family and friends who support me on my writing journey. Whew, getting emotional over here. Anyway, today is November 21st, which means it's the last day of my writing challenge. Ta-da-da-dum! And so I will let you know what my final word count is and how it compares to the original word count. So I didn't try the specific numbers, but the original word count was about 29,000 words. And the final word count is 37,000 words. So the word count I got throughout the challenge was 7,684 words, which is lower than what I expected originally, but at the same time, not nearly as bad because here I'm not even counting those 2,500 words that I lost. So if I do count that, I'm actually at 10,000. It is my very good monthly word count, 10,000. So maybe I can consider it being 10,000, but since I lost those words and I did not rewrite them, that is the actual word count that I have. And I'm very happy with the progress that I made in the middle of the story. Remember when I was starting, I was talking like it's kind of beginning to look like a romantasy. I feel like that aspect has been developed a lot. So there's definitely a lot of romance. It's definitely the deepest I've ever gotten into a story. It feels like I have enough stuff to create an actual book and finish it, so I'm very excited about that. I thought it was a very nice realization by the end of this challenge that I keep on moving and I keep on progressing as a writer, even though I don't have a book yet to show for it. So I'm hoping that I will have my first draft by the end of December. I'll keep on working on it. I think, I made it a little bit of a tall order to try to both write and film. Your energy is not boundless, so you will still have a certain amount of time and energy and creativity each day that you have to give. And if you split it between two things like writing and YouTube, you are splitting your time and energy and focus. And so I wonder if going away from those writing updates now will help me work on the book more consistently and, move even faster. We will see. From one point of view, having to produce videos and update you guys helped me to stay motivated and to keep on doing that even when I didn't feel like doing it. But from another point of view, on many days I was like, I feel like filming today and editing and uploading a video. And I had to remind myself that the main focus is writing, and that's what I'm filming about. So, what's the point of just filming stuff if I'm not writing much that day? So, it's a complicated thing. I recently, so Lindsay Puckett, a YouTuber who I love to watch, who is an author, she's a middle grade author and YA author. She's writing fantasy as well. And I just love her channel. Her vibe of the channel actually inspired me to start mine because she is not, some authors are doing more like how to get published, how to get an agent, how to do this or that. Hers is mostly focused on just her lifestyle, right? Her writing, her like updates about life and stuff. And so it has this like chill vibe that I really love and it really resonates with me. And it also gives me hope that even with some limitations that come with my lifestyle, my health, and other things, I can still achieve what she has achieved, or at least try to, with knowledge that it is possible, even if you have some limitations. And so I find her very inspiring. And she recently had a Q&A, and I sent her a question about the YouTube channel and how she was growing it and how she felt about it. And if in the beginning it was kind of like slow growth, and then once she became a published author, more people were interested in that. And I loved her response. She said she, even though sometimes she gets caught up in the statistics and stuff like we all do, she tries to remind herself that she is writer first and YouTuber second. And I really love that, and I said I need to etch it on my mirror or something, because this is really what I'm trying to do. I never, for 10 years now, I wanted to write a book. I didn't want to become a YouTuber for 10 years. I wanted to write a book. So this is where my focus should be. And this is one thing that I want to say I did in my life. I wrote a book. And, regardless of whether or not it gets published, if it's good, if people like it, just the fact, just the mere accomplishment of this very big long-term project, I feel like is satisfying. And also telling a story that's fun, that would be fun for you to read and that you personally enjoy. I think that would be something I would look back on with pride. And so this is something I need to focus on. So I don't know how I'm going to structure my YouTube going forward. I do like to post art videos because I enjoy doing art as a hobby and it's just fun for me and relaxing. I am thinking of trying the watercolor challenge soon, which is, it's not a challenge, it's like, she calls it a challenge, but it's basically different techniques and doing watercolor cards for Christmas. So I'm thinking maybe this year I'll do that and I can create handmade cards for my friends and family. That is one thing I want to do and that I will probably record. And another thing in the maybe more distant future, I do want to study fiction on a different level. I want to study it a little more academically. I just love academics. I love learning and I love studying. So I was thinking maybe I'll take some topics that interest me in fiction, maybe a little bit even about a history of fiction, or some books, like analyzing some books and how they do the world building or how they do character development, or maybe something about character prototypes. We have a trickster, and we have damsel in distress and this and that. So I don't know. I feel like there's a deep world of literature that I would love to dive into, including maybe some classics, some American classics that I have never read. And I'm thinking maybe I'll do more of that in the future with my channel. We will see. But also talking about books. I want to start talking about books at some point. I don't know. It's so funny because I do read books and I have opinions on books, sometimes very strong opinions. But for some reason, I cannot think of how do I share my opinions. Like, because you cannot just say, oh, I love this book or I hated this book. You have to provide something of value for people. So I will have to figure that out. But I'm glad that now that my challenge is over, I can take myself out of the box of the writing challenge and try new things with YouTube, but also pay more attention to the actual writing, which is the whole point of this thing. Anyways, thank you guys so very much for staying with me through this challenge. And I loved meeting some new people throughout this time, some people who started watching for the writing vlogs and stuff. I might do writing vlogs in the future, but just not as intensely and not as often. But I appreciate you. I love to meet new people and talk about writing and see everybody's process. So thank you for being here and following me on this challenge. And here's to the success of our writing projects and to the completion of the drafts and to finding an agent and to finding a publisher and all the good things that lie ahead.